The chamber of the Galactic Council was older than most civilizations in the stars. Its walls were carved from living crystal, glowing softly with the light of 1,000 worlds. Around the wide circle, alien leaders floated, stood, or crawled depending on their form. Some had wings, some had shells, some shimmered like gas, and others pulsed with quiet light. In the center, a tall pillar of silver rose holding the speaker's chair. Today, the chamber was full, every seat taken. The matter was serious. A voice like thunder broke the silence. It came from a massive reptilian being, scaled in green and gold. Humans, he said, cannot be trusted. In only 3 centuries of space travel, they spread farther than any of us expected. They mine worlds with no hesitation. They build weapons faster than treaties can stop them. And they fight among themselves even as they expand. This is danger. If we wait, the danger will grow. A soft wave of approval spread across the chamber. Then came another voice, calm and clear, spoken by a being that looked like a tall tree with glowing leaves. Earth does not listen to warnings. They invent faster, push harder, and they do not wait for permission. We gave them knowledge of the council. We gave them a place among us, and still they act as if rules are only walls to break. At the far end, a small figure sat quietly. He was not scaled or glowing or floating. He was only human. The Earth ambassador, dressed in plain dark blue, watched and listened. He did not speak, not yet. His hands were folded, but his jaw was tight. The speaker of the council, a being of living light, finally rose. Then let us vote. Shall Earth be exiled from the galactic community? The chamber grew heavy. Each race raised its sign of agreement or disagreement. Out of hundreds of voices, only a handful spoke for mercy. Most did not. When the vote was done, the speaker's voice carried through every corner of the galaxy. The vote is decided. Earth is no longer welcome. Humanity is to live apart, without our trade, without our alliance, without our protection. Their voice is silenced here. The human ambassador stood. His face was pale, but his eyes were steady. So this is how you choose, he said, voice low but strong. You fear us, so you cast us away. Very well. If exile is your choice, then know this. Humanity does not beg. We do not kneel. We will walk our own path, and one day you may remember this moment. Without another word, he turned and left the chamber. The doors closed behind him. The shock on Earth. When the news reached Earth, it shook every city and every colony. The galactic message was broadcast across the networks. Exile. No more trade. No more council. No more welcome. Some reacted with fear. Without the council, we will be weak, said the leaders of smaller colonies. Without trade, we will starve, worried the merchants. Without protection, we will be targets, warned the generals. But others felt only anger. They fear us because we are strong, said a scientist. They cast us out because they cannot control us, argued a soldier. They think exile will break us. They do not know who we are, whispered a teacher to her students. In the streets, people marched not in despair, but in unity. Families waved human flags on colony worlds. Workers painted their tools with symbols of Earth. Soldiers sharpened their skills, not for war with each other, but for survival against the galaxy. The first council on Earth in Geneva. A great hall was filled with Earth's leaders. The United Earth Assembly, normally divided by endless arguments, was strangely quiet that day. Every delegate knew the weight of the moment. The chairwoman, an older woman with silver hair, stood at the podium. The galaxy has spoken. We are to be exiled. No trade, no help. No seat among them. They believe this will weaken us. She paused, her eyes sweeping across the hall. But tell me, when has humanity ever waited for permission to survive? A murmur of agreement spread. A young delegate from Mars colony stood. We do not need their trade. We can build our own industries. We have the hands, we have the minds. A general rose next. We do not need their protection. We can build our own fleets. Stronger fleets. Faster fleets, a scientist raised her hand. We do not need their knowledge. We learn quicker than they imagine. We can make our own discoveries. We always have. The hall grew louder, voices rising in determination. The chairwoman struck the podium once more. Then it is decided. Humanity does not break. Humanity builds. Exile is not an end. It is our beginning. The chamber erupted in cheers. Seeds of determination factories lit up across Earth and its colonies. Massive shipyards on the moon began to hum with life. On Mars, new engines were tested in red dust. On Titan, in the frozen dark, Workers carved deep shelters and fuel lines. Children in schools were told not of exile, but of destiny. "You are the builders of the future," said teachers. "The galaxy turned its back, but you will show them what humans can become." Inventors worked day and night. Some experimented with energy systems the council had banned. Others tried to bend the rules of physics themselves. Risk did not frighten them. Every failure was fuel for the next step. Soldiers drilled in silence, training for battles no one had yet seen. They studied alien fleets, their strengths and their weaknesses. They designed new tactics, fast and unpredictable. The galaxy thought humans would fall into despair. Instead, they found humans rising higher, faster, and with more unity than ever before. The final scene of Part 1 in the orbit of Earth, a new ship floated for the first time. It was larger than any Earth ship before, its hull black and sharp, engines glowing like white fire. The ship's name, painted across its side, was Independence. The human ambassador who had left the council stood aboard its bridge, looking out at the stars. "They voted to exile us," he whispered, "but exile only set us free." Behind him, the crew nodded in silence. Ahead of them, the stars waited. Humanity was no longer a small voice in a crowded council. Humanity was on its own path now, and nothing would stop it. The years turned into decades, and exile became memory. In the dark silence of space, humanity worked. Shipyards stretched like cities across the moon and Mars. Engines glowed on stations near Jupiter. Hidden colonies grew on icy moons, far from any alien eyes. The galaxy had expected Earth to shrink, to fade into weakness. But what they saw instead was silence, human silence. No messages, no requests, no complaints. Humanity turned inward, and the galaxy soon forgot them. But while the council ignored them, humans grew strong. The silent buildup on Earth. Children no longer learned stories of alien wonders. They learned stories of human courage. History classes told of explorers, inventors, and defenders who refused to give up. In the shipyards, new technology was born. Engines that bent space, shields that could take fire for hours, weapons that struck with precision. Many of these ideas had been forbidden by the council, but humans were no longer bound by those rules. On Mars, scientists created new terraforming systems, making deserts bloom with green. On Titan, miners uncovered strange elements and turned them into fuel. On hidden stations near the Kuiper Belt, engineers tested massive rail cannons that could strike across planets. Human fleets began to appear, silent, dark, and strong. They did not fly near alien space. They did not show their numbers. They built in secret, ready for the day when exile would no longer matter. Trouble in the galaxy far away. In council space, a shadow was rising. It began as whispers. Colonies destroyed, ships missing, outposts burned. At first, the council ignored it, blaming pirates or accidents. But soon the truth came clear. A swarm was moving through the stars, feeding on planets, consuming all it touched. They called it the Vorak swarm. The Vorak were not like other races. They did not build, they did not speak, they did not reason. They only devoured. Ships, planets, even living beings. Everything became fuel for their endless hunger. World after world fell. The proud reptilian fleets, once so sure of their strength, were torn apart. The glowing leaf people, wise and patient, saw their forests burned to ash. Even the great council itself trembled, for no army could slow the swarm. The return of contact at last. The council remembered the exiled world. Messages were sent toward Earth. The voices of former enemies filled the old channels. Humanity, hear us. The swarm is beyond us. We need every ally. We call on you to return, to fight with us. But Earth did not answer. Instead, human fleets moved silently, on their own. They appeared at the edges of battle where Vorak ships burned planets. Without warning, sleek black vessels struck like lightning. Their weapons cut through swarm hive ships. Their engines darted faster than the enemy could chase. Entire colonies abandoned by the council were saved by humans. But the rescued aliens were shocked. No human ships bore the council's mark. They fought under no one's command but their own. The first encounter on the world of Lura Prime, the Vorak descended in a storm. Cities crumbled, skies burned red. Council fleets held the line, but they were breaking. Then, without warning, dark human ships appeared. Their cannons glowed white and blue, firing beams that tore through the swarm. Missiles screamed into hive ships, bursting them into fire. Soldiers in armored suits dropped from orbit, holding the ground with courage and skill. When the battle ended, the survivors cheered. Council generals rushed to thank the humans, to ask for alliance, but the human admiral only shook his head. "We came to save lives, not to beg for seats in your council. We walk our own path," the message was clear. Humanity had not forgotten Exile, the turning point. The war spread. The Vorak devoured more systems, but wherever they turned, they began to meet human fleets. At the edge of the galaxy, a massive swarm gathered, larger than any seen before. The council prepared for collapse, whispering that the galaxy itself would fall, but humans were already waiting. Admiral Wren, commander of the Independence Fleet, stood on the bridge of his flagship. His crew was young but sharp, their eyes hard with determination. Around them floated hundreds of human ships, engines burning bright. "Today," he said, "we fight not because the council asks us, but because no one else will. If we fail, there will be nothing left for our children. But if we win, the galaxy will learn what it means to exile humanity." The order was given. The fleets moved. The great battle. The Vorak swarm filled the stars like a black ocean. Thousands of hive ships, endless drones, and monstrous beasts born in void. The council fleet stood broken, unable to face the tide. Then humanity struck. The Independence Fleet launched its full power. Giant rail cannons cracked through space, slicing hive ships in two. Shield walls glowed as drones smashed against them and fell apart. Human soldiers boarded enemy vessels, planting charges, fighting in the dark corridors of alien flesh ships. The swarm pressed harder, but humans did not break. They fought with fire, with clever traps, with courage that seemed endless. Hours passed, then days. The stars burned with battle, and slowly the swarm began to falter. The end of the swarm at last, the Independence fired its final weapon, a colossal energy lance, built in secret, forbidden by council law. The beam tore through the largest hive, the queen mind of the swarm. The explosion lit the system like a second sun. Without the queen, the swarm fell into chaos. Ships drifted, drones turned mindless, the tide was broken, the battle was won. The lesson of Exile: when the war ended, the council called once more. Their message was full of praise and apology. "Humanity," they said, "you saved us. Return to the council, take your seat among us, lead us." But humanity answered differently. The human ambassador, older now, spoke to the galaxy. His voice was calm but strong. "Years ago you voted to exile us. You feared us and you turned us away. In exile we built our own path. We grew without your rules, without your chains. And when the swarm came, we did not wait for your call, we acted." He paused, his eyes shining. "Now you ask us to return. But we are no longer the children you cast out. We do not need your counsel. We do not need your approval. We stand as equals or not at all." The message was sent. Across the galaxy, races whispered in awe. The ending scene on the bridge of the Independence, Admiral Wren stood with his crew. Before them stretched the stars, endless and free. "They wanted us to be small," he said softly, "but exile made us strong. They wanted us silent, but exile gave us our own voice. They wanted us alone, but exile taught us unity." He looked at the stars, and his crew followed his gaze. "From this day, no one decides humanity's place. We decide it ourselves." The ship turned, engines glowing bright, leading the fleet into uncharted space. The stars waited, full of new challenges, new battles, and new dreams. Humanity did not fear exile anymore. They had turned exile into freedom.